Hey guys, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/Fred. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, MP3 player. That's audibletrial.com/Fred. But for now, enjoy the show. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much. Welcome to day two of the 2016 blast. 7 days, 7 episodes with 7 amazing authors. Thank you so much for pushing the download button. I am Frederick Bai, and I'm talking to you from right here up north in the freezing cold winter of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. You are listening to me, the Book Geek Unchained, home to literary marvels, those you know and those you don't know. I am a dude, I'm a guy, I'm a geek, but most importantly, I'm a creative guy. I'm a businessman. I am a podcaster. I'm a writer. I'm a blogger. I am an animal lover. This podcast is about fiction and non-fiction books that we love. Books change our lives. Books entertain us. Books make us grow. Basically, it is a live podcast. It is free every time you download it on iTunes or Stitcher. Please go over there and subscribe. It is listener supported. So tell a friend. Shout it out rooftops. Do whatever you have to do. But leave a review. Help a brother out. It really does help a brother out when you leave a positive review. You know, because the podcast goes up in these, goes up the algorithms and anyway, it just goes up the algorithms. I don't know. I'm not really sure what algorithms do though, but anyway, you get the picture. All right, leave a review and for more podcasts, free gifts, Q&As, amazing Q&A articles. Subscribe at www.frederickbai.com. On Twitter, tweet me, people. Add me. I will add you back at ByFred. Or on Facebook, simply type in my name, Frederick Bai, and check out the YouTube channel, The Book Geek, for previous episodes. It is updated regularly, and as many of you know, I always like to start off with something funny. And this is, listen to this. After a 2-year study, the National Science Foundation announced the following results on America's ball-related recreational preferences. The sport of choice for unemployed or incarcerated people is basketball. The sport of choice for maintenance-level employees is bowling. The sport of choice for blue-collar workers is football. The sport of choice for supervisors is baseball. The sport of choice for middle management is tennis. The sport of choice for corporate officers is golf. Conclusion: the higher you rise in a corporate structure, the smaller your balls become. All right. This week, hey, guys, I just want to say real quick, Donna McDonald gave us an exclusive Q&A article along with her podcast that she did with me, yours truly, at frederickbai.com. That's frederickbai.com. So check it out. Again, how amazing was she? She's kicked off the 2016 blast. And today, we talk about a very, very important subject. It can be fun, I have to admit, but I mean, it's a subject that everybody needs to know about. Everybody needs to know that. We talk about women and money, and we have an expert with us. She wrote 2 books. Her name is Orayna Jwayyed. She is an accountant, a consultant in Oklahoma City. She earned an MBA and BS in accounting from the University of Central Oklahoma. She founded Business Interludes LLC to help women learn how to manage and organize their money. She has authored 2 ebooks. Her latest, and this is the one we're going to talk about today, Starting Over, the Practical Guide for Women After a Life Crisis, is an Amazon bestseller. Through her own divorce and discussions with other women, she discovered there were not enough resources for women who needed help managing their money after an unexpected life change. She blogs at businessinterludes.com, workingmother.com, and freelances for the Oklahoma Gazette. Yes, hey, you know what? You're going to learn so much from this conversation. You're going to be inspired, and women, strap your seatbelts because, and you know what? You should get up right now and go get the book because as you're going to see in the conversation, Orayna she has experienced a lot. She has the experience to help you. So without further ado, we're going to get to the conversation right after this. Hey guys, quick thanks to radioguestlist.com where you can find people to interview for free. Or if you want to be interviewed, you can go there too. radioguestlist.com. Thank you guys for your support. And speaking of you listeners, I want to hear from you. If you would like to be on this show to discuss a book you have written or that you loved, if you have a book recommendation or you just want to chat, email me. I want to hear from you at info@fredericbaye.com. That's info@fredericbaye.com. And for advertisement offers, use the same address with subject advertising. All right, hello. So we are here at the Book Geek Unchained. I am Frédéric Baye, and we are here with, hey, how do we spell your name, by the way? I have a hard time. What is it exactly?
Orayna Jwayyed.
Okay. So all right, I'm going to start over. Hello. So we are here with the Book Geek Unchained. I am Frédéric Baye, and we are here with Orayna Jwayyed. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. She's an author, a business owner, an advocate, and she's helping women help themselves manage their money. Her book, Starting Over, a Practical Guide for Women After a Money Crisis, leads women towards financial health after they find themselves alone. Hey, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am fabulous. Hey, I think you're doing I think you're doing something very, very important here. I think money and women and just the subject of money in general is a very, very important subject, especially nowadays where the financial industry is just, all over the place. It's all over. It's hard to get good guidance. You know what I mean?
There actually is a lot of guidance, but for some reason, it's not just filtering down to the women who need it.
Yeah. And that's why, I love, people like you who write those kinds of books because I think, we need them. So let's start off. Why did you write Starting Over?
I wrote it for 2 reasons. Starting Over is, stems from my own experience after a divorce, and I just wanted to get that out there and let other women what choices they have. I've been speaking to divorced women or women who just for whatever reason have to go out there and start by themselves. And I found just a common trend, the fear, not being able to go back into the workforce because, they decided at some time in their life that they were going to just leave the workforce and raise their families. And so they dedicate all this time to their families. And even though they had degrees and experience at one time, when, their spouses decide to divorce them, they find that they don't have the skills or just even the knowledge to know where to start up again. And my circumstances were different. I did stay home, but I did. I actually worked as a contractor for most of my married life, even though it was only for just the summer months. I would pick my kids up and go back to New York City and work there. But it was never related to what I'm doing now. But I was still active and engaged in the workforce. But I didn't have that full-time experience or that long experience, that work experience, when I finally did hit the workplace. But I was basically starting over. I was originally a court stenographer, and then I decided that I wanted to get my degrees in business and accounting, and that's what I was doing. And at the time that I filed for divorce, I had just actually re-entered the workforce at the time.
How was that for you when you re-entered the workforce? Because you mentioned a lot of fear that women have. How was it back then when you re-entered it?
It was very different. Life moved a lot faster. Even though I was working as a court stenographer, I wasn't really prepared for how technology had changed the workplace. Life was going really fast there. And so that was something that I needed adjusting to, because even though I was gaining my business skills, I wasn't really keeping up as much as I should have with the technology. So, if you go into the workplace now, a lot of the tasks are being replaced by some sort of technology, whether it's a software or, you have, it's no longer paper intensive. You have a software that documents and holds your paperwork. A lot of things are now done over email. So it changed. It had really changed. So that was one thing that I really needed adjusting. And it was a little difficult adjusting at first.
See, I think your situation is typical. Like a lot of the thing, the things you mentioned. Okay, the women, they kind of, they stay at home and one day they divorce and then boom, they got to re-enter the workforce and they're kind of a little bit, uncomfortable or even lost sometimes. How growing up? Let's go to your background a little bit. What was the mindset around money and women as you were growing up?
I grew up in a traditional household. My mother never completed any formal degrees. In fact, she was in the West Bank, and she was forced out of school in the second grade because of the Israeli occupation. So she was forced out of school and she was made to stay out of school. So my mother doesn't have any formal education. So she's a very traditional woman, where she believes women should be seen and not heard. And, the only life for a woman is, marriage and children. My father, on the other hand, he was educated. He was a teacher. He worked all over the West Bank in Egypt until he finally made his way in the United States in the mid 60s. But he was still traditional in a sense. He emphasized that he wanted us to, focus on our families first and then everything else second. So he wanted to empower us in a different way, but at the same time, he still stressed that we had to take care of our families. With respect to money, both of my parents were in the extremes. My mother was a compulsive saver. She saved every penny, and she was also a hoarder. She just did not believe in wasting money at all. My father, on the other hand, his paycheck was out of his pocket within the next day. By the next day, he had spent everything. So I was actually raised in a household of extremes with money and with respect to gender roles. So that was what I had to endure. Looking
back, now that you're wiser, what impact did it have on your life back then? How did you feel about that back then?
With respect to the money, I learned, I'm just generally the type of person innately, naturally, that I always take the middle ground, so I try to find a balance between my mother's obsessive saving and my father's obsessive spending. And, with respect to money, I always did very well. I was always a saver since I was young. I always found a lot of merit in having, some money saved. And that was something that I learned from my mother. I learned at a young age that you should always have money around just in case. And she would always say, just in case. The world is unpredictable. You don't know what could happen. But I do have to say that when I was young, I was a bit frugal, or maybe a little too frugal, but generous, because I used to help my mother and I used to help my siblings as well with whatever paychecks I had. But it's only after my divorce and then recently after I lost my job that I started learning, that you do have to take care of yourself, even financially, with respect to treating yourself every so often with something. It's okay to strive for balance and having that security where you have your money saved as long as your bills are taken care of. You have some money saved, to carry you through for the future because you don't know what's going to happen. But at the same time that it's okay to spend a little on yourself. And that's where I am. That's where I'm at now. I'm at that place where I say, if you organize your financial lives and then learn how to save, then you can splurge on yourself. At the same time. So it's not all about just save every dime that you have like my mother did or spend every dime that you had like my father did. It's just a matter of, just making wise decisions and knowing how to take care of your own money.
Balance. I think right? That's what I hear from you, balance.
It is. And you don't get there, it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. We are victims of our upbringings and our experiences. And, but if you keep striving to try and manage your money and, save for that rainy day, but at the same time, take care of those needs that you do have, as long as you find, a nice balance, a nice mix, then it is possible. And, that's what my book and that's what my story is all about, because a lot of times when I did speak to these women, or even women that I speak to now that know that they should be walking away from their marriage but don't, and I just joined this group recently that helps women of domestic violence as well. And, it's always that fear of, I don't have the money to leave. I don't have the money to start over. I don't know where to start over. I don't know how to start over. And there's always this fear that, I have to stay. I have to stay because I don't know where to start over. I don't know how to start over. And so that's where I come in. I want to show these women that, yes, you can start over, and yes, it's possible, and you can even start over with nothing if that's what you have to do. There are resources out there. There are tools out there. There is help out there, but the women are not finding it.
All right, that's awesome. This is Frédéric Bayer, and you're listening to the Book Geek Unchained. We are here with Orayna Jwayyed. She's an author, a business owner, and advocate. She's helping women help themselves manage their money. Her book, Starting Over, a practical guide for women after a money crisis, leads women towards financial health as they find themselves alone. All right, so you're going through life. You had this upbringing, your mother is a saver, your dad is not a saver.
They were both compulsive though and obsessive with their ways.
Yeah, that's it. Two extremes, as you said.
Yeah, two extremes. Yes.
So you have a relationship, you get married. When did it start? When did you become aware that, okay, I better take care of myself here?
It wasn't until about almost a year before I I filed for divorce. He started making little comments to, like threatening me. Sometimes they were subtle comments. Sometimes they were, just really obscene or, just out there. They were real threats about, basically about how he was going to withdraw the money, or he would make comments about how if it wasn't for him, that I wouldn't be where I am, which isn't true, because I just love work. I just love being productive. And that's the way I've always been since I was about 17 years old. I've been working, even if I didn't have to work. At 17, I had to work. But even, as I went along in life and as I started doing better in life, I still wanted to work. And I still went out to work, but because that's just the way I am. I like to contribute. I like to be productive, but he would just make like these little subtle comments, to me. And then one day, we had like an argument, and then he made a comment about going to the bank and withdrawing all the money. So I called the bank and I informed them. I told them that this is what he's saying. Now, this is about a year or so before I filed for divorce. So I went to the bank and I, told them that I want them to, monitor the account, and that there is to be no money, excessive amounts of money withdrawn from the account unless I'm notified. But that, nothing happened there. So I went off my guard. And then we started fighting a lot. I went back to the workforce, full time, because before that I wasn't working full time. I was working on a contractual basis. Then I went back to work, and then I just started noticing that he would just make comments, reminding me about my duties, my house and my children were my duties, or he would get upset if I was, a little late at work, or he was upset because I told him that I was going to take advantage of the 401 K that my company was offering me at the time. And I just noticed that there was just like a lot of bravado, a lot of, chauvinistic comments being made, and it just bothered me. And that's when my antenna went up. I said, either he's bluffing or he's serious, but this is something that I really need to take to take it for what it is.
Okay. So basically he really, it must have been like your self-esteem must have been, crushed, must have been, really affected.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave him 19 years of my life. It wasn't something that I was planning. Divorce wasn't something that I was ever planning. But, he took care of us, me and the children. He did take care of us financially. Financially, we never needed anything. We were never in debt. We never missed a payment. He was good in that sense. But he was very controlling with the money. He made sure that he was, in control of every dime that went in and out of the household. Even the money that I made when I went over to New York. There were warning signs, but nothing really, nothing really that set off any alarms with me initially. I knew from the beginning that he was very frugal, that he was really crazy about money and about spending money. But I tended to look at the bright side and said, okay, he is a little compulsive about the spending, but, we are doing well financially. We bought a house. We were living that American dream. So those are the things that I focused on. And then I got distracted with the kids. At the time, I adored my kids. I loved them. To me, they were success. I adored them. I wanted to do everything for them, and I was happy with them. I mean, just spending a day with them made me happy. So everything else was really irrelevant at the time.
Do you think we marry our parents?
Of course.
Because I'm hearing how he was, and I'm hearing about your father, and it seems like that's what it was, And I mean, with your experience with women, when they talk to you about their situation, do you see that?
What I see is, because even though I talk to these women, I really don't know all about their, family background as much. But what I do see is that there is always like some sort of void that we have. And we all have some sort of void that we're always trying to fill. And sometimes, as reasonable and as rational as we think we are, or we try to be, we're bound to make mistakes. We're bound to be sidetracked. And those are just human flaws. I mean, for a long time, when I filed for divorce, I hated myself. I went through a period of self-loathing. How could I let this happen to me? How can I be so stupid? Just all this conversation that kept going over and over and over in my head. But now that I look around and I get to be on the outside and I look at other relationships, I mean, there are compromises to be made, or else we wouldn't be involved in relationships, whether it's with family or whether it's with a significant other. We're all bound to get hurt. We're all bound to make mistakes. We're all bound to be taken for granted. And that's what I say. I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist to make like an expert call on that, but I can tell you that with the women that I talk to, there is like something that's always missing in all of us that we try to fulfill. And sometimes we just don't see the warning signs, or we may be a little too busy to see the warning signs, or maybe we're just afraid to see the warning signs, and so we ignore them.
All right, just before continuing this conversation, for you, the listeners of the Book Geek Unchained podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. I personally recommend the audiobook The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, or you can choose the audiobook of your choice for free by trying audible.com. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Fred. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Fred. You will be entertained, and at the same time, you will help a brother out. So everybody wins. Go to audibletrial.com/Fred for your free audiobook. Okay, so you're going through the divorce. Okay, all hell breaks loose, basically. And how, for all the women out there who are going through a divorce, who went through a divorce, how did you recover from that? How did you gain your self-esteem back? You built a business, you wrote a book, and now you're helping women. How did you get from there to that?
When I first filed for divorce, what I first started doing is I started volunteering. I volunteered with the YWCA, where I started offering my classes to the women there. They have an economic empowerment division that's there, at least the one over here does, where I'm at. And so I contacted the director, and I asked her if I could start teaching there, and she did. And so I would give classes to these women about, how to take care of themselves. I started with that, and then I started blogging, and then I decided that I'm going to do that. I'm going to launch a business and, see where it takes me, basically. And I always just knew from my research and from writing the books that there was so much information out there and so much help out there, especially after the 2008 financial crisis here. There's just been steps and laws taken to better help the consumers and the borrowers that are out there, from another financial crisis, so that homeowners don't lose their homes, or people don't lose their investments, or their retirement funds. But it's not trickling down to the women who need it. And so that's what I started doing. I said, this is what I'm going to focus on, I'm going to focus on just trying to be that bridge between the information that's out there and the women who need it.
Okay, so you wrote the book. Who were your mentors before you wrote the book? It can be somebody on television, can be somebody close to you. Do you have any?
I have to tell you that, I gave up on the mentor idea a long time ago, because from what I'm seeing is that we are flawed human beings. And when you idolize someone as a mentor, you're not giving them that opportunity to be flawed, and you can be easily disappointed. And that's what happened with me. I mean, there were people who, especially after my divorce, people who were related to me and friends too, who I just really looked up to, and they turned on me. They turned their backs on me. They weren't there when I needed them to be. And I'm not really a person who asks for a lot of help or a person who reaches out to people. I just like to be independent and take care of my own problems. I believe that we all have our problems, and, even though it's okay to reach out to someone and say, hey, I need someone to talk to, I don't think it's okay to burden other people with your problems. But these friends and families, and, they turned their backs on me, and it's just very unforgivable. And I've been really disappointed. It hasn't helped. It didn't help the healing process at all. So I'm just at a point right now where I'm not going to hold anyone up to that standard as a mentor anymore.
Okay. Do you have people you admire, financial people, financial experts you admire that inspired you?
Financial people who inspired me?
Yeah. Like, I don't know, Susie Orman, or, I don't know, Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know.
No, not really, because they're not really working in the same job as I am. I mean, what they do is they dispense actual investment advice. They tell you where to put your money, what to do with your money. I kind of go somewhere else. I'm there to tell women, hey, here's how you can start over. I don't tell women where to put their money. What I encourage them to do is to learn how to manage their money, learn the basics so that they can help be a part of the process.
Okay. Once again, this is Frédéric Bayer. You are listening to the book Geek Unchained. We are here with Orayna Jwayyed. She's an author, business owner, advocate. She's helping women help themselves manage their money. Her book, Starting Over, a practical guide for women after a money crisis, leads women towards financial health after they find themselves alone. All right. Was there any one person who was your inspiration for starting over?
I would say it would probably be myself and my mother.
Okay. And in the book, you say women are either too proud or too afraid to admit they're having financial problems. Why do you feel that way?
Because it's true. Because a lot of women don't want to admit that they have problems. We're supposed to have everything in order. We're supposed to have everything together. And, for us to come out and admit and say, I really don't know how to manage that money. I mean, it happened to me. I had my little fancy business degrees and my master's degree. When I graduated, I was working for a large corporation, helping that corporation manage its account. But when my divorce finally went through, I found myself alone. He controlled all of the money. He managed all the money. I didn't know where to start. I basically had to just learn it all by myself.
See, that's interesting because I used to work with people like that, and I had a good friend of mine. She's been married she's not married, but she's been with her boyfriend for like 23 years, 24 years. And when I hear you, I hear her, where she doesn't have a clue about money, about where their money goes. If they go on vacation, he pays, and she just books, and and why do women accept that? Or why do women, why do they accept that?
It could be that they just don't understand, the finance is not a very easy subject to understand. I mean, especially when you're talking about investments or you're talking about 401k plans. Have you ever received like a prospectus, like that little booklet that you get from your investments? Have you ever looked through one of those?
I was in financial services for 2.5 years. Yes, I have. And you cannot understand that. It's impossible.
It's impossible. You know what I do? Even with all my work and all my degrees, you know what I do? As soon as they come, I throw them in the garbage.
Absolutely.
I don't have time to sit down and read 200-page booklets about my investments and about where they're going. And I really believe that instead of a lot of women sitting down and saying, okay, there's some other way that I could understand this, they may come across something like that, or some sort of bank terms, even if it's like a simple savings account. You go online and you start reading through the terms, and you're not really finding what it is you want to find. You're just finding like a lot of words, just a lot of paragraphs that you're reading through, and you're like, okay, how is this going to help me? Or, what does this have to do with me? Or I don't have time to read this right now. And then we give up. Another reason also is that a lot of women, they feel secure making a move, especially when it comes to money, when they have all the knowledge, and we're not the type usually that, we just go out there and take these risks, especially with something as important as money. But, especially like a lot of the research has found that a lot of men make decisions, even if they don't have all the information on hand, even if they don't have any information on hand. Men are just, more inclined to take risks whether or not they have the information. And I believe that that's another obstacle to women actually managing their money.
Women are oftentimes, as you said, I think they're more inclined to security, right?
They want security. Yeah, they want security. And just going out there and, picking a random investment, or just, switching their money from one account to another, that's like a little too, there's too much of a fear factor there.
Mm-hmm. What is the most important thing readers will learn from starting over?
That, no matter where you are, and even if you haven't been out there in the workforce for many years, that you can get back on track, and you can start managing your own money, and you can start saving your money. And most importantly, for those mothers who have lost their homes through the divorce process, because that's what happens a lot. You have these women who lose their homes because they can't keep up with the mortgages, that you can rebuild that home life for your children again.
Going back to what we just said earlier, do you think that the reason why a lot of women feel they're not incapable, but they're insecure when it comes to money and all that stuff? I feel sometimes, with my experience, that it's almost like, because these corporations, these banks, most of them are ran by men. And I think there is this, unfortunately, even though we're in 2015, I think there is still this perception that women can't really handle it well. You understand what I'm saying?
They may feel like they can't handle it well. They may think that they can't handle it well because, like I said, they probably think that there's like this special knowledge that you need, a special expertise that you need, special tools that you have to have. But that's not true. What they're doing is they're allowing their fear to take the best of them. They're allowing fear and the lack of knowledge to get the best of them, because that's not true. Anyone can sit down and learn how to manage their money, and even learn how to invest. Now, even, if you look at those, who are doing well in their lives and they have a lot of money saved, they're not doing it all on their own. They have investment advisors, they have professionals that are helping them. You don't do it alone. It's very rare that you find anyone who went from rags to riches on their own. You always need someone out there. But the difference between them and maybe those women who are not at that point is probably that they are not part of the conversation. They're not learning the basics so that they can, have more control over their money.
I don't know if you can answer that question, but why isn't there any financial education in schools?
There is.
No, but like elementary school, like high school.
Well, here in the United States, they have taken steps to incorporate a lot of those, like finance or personal money management classes into the curriculum, but the problem is that they're not being taught by those who have knowledge in economics and finance because of the budgeting and because of the lack of teachers available to teach those classes. So what you see that you'll have like a science teacher, let's say, that's teaching some sort of finance or teaching some sort of economics in the classroom, and that's what they're being forced to do. And it's a good first step, but it's not the right way to get children or like the later generations more involved in money and learning how to save more and spend less, or to get out of debt.
Yeah, so it's not real education. It's like you said, it's not a scientist, but a science teacher teaching about money. But
yeah, like for example, here in Oklahoma, they did pass a curriculum, where kids by high school you have to have a certain amount of credit hours in order to graduate from high school. But as I said, these classes were being taught by teachers from other subject classes who didn't have the training to teach the kids, actual finance and actual economics. So that is also going to create another gap in the future. So
when you meet women, would you say that the major thing, aside from their, let's say, the pain of a divorce or self-esteem, or would you say that the major problem is that they have no financial education? What is the major thing that you see in them when you meet them? There has to be common thread here.
They're afraid.
Of what?
Of starting over without money, of not being able to make it because they just, they've been out for too long. They've been mothers for too long. They've been volunteering for too long, and they just don't know how to go out there and start over. And, so that is their problem. The fear is the problem, and also maybe, here in the United States, for example, we're really big on, protecting women, but a lot of it is lip service. When you go into a lot of these companies, yes, okay, a company may have family leave, but a lot of parents are afraid to ask for that for fear of how it may be used against them, for example. Or like, for example, in my example, when I first started working with that first corporation, I had asked them, when I filed for divorce, I had asked them if I could just start working from home a little bit because they had given me a laptop. And, I was able to do work from home. And I asked the director at the time, and he told me, oh, you're going to start something here now. If I give it to you, I'm going to have to give it to the others. And then the men are going to ask me for it. And then I'm going to have a workforce that's not available or engaged. So, a lot of companies are saying, yeah, we support women, we support parents, but we're not there yet. We're not there.
Okay, I get it.
It's just good marketing for a lot of these corporations.
Oh, really? Okay. What's the best advice you can give to someone, like people listening to this often struggle with money problems? What's your best advice on how they can deal with that?
Well, the first thing is learn the difference between your needs and your wants. Okay. Like we all need a roof over our head. We all need shoes. We all need clothing. But if you can't afford it, don't buy it. If you're in debt, you need to learn how to get out of that debt first before you keep spending. If you are in too much debt, you need to stop spending. On extra things. You need to focus only on what you need, like groceries and, the basics, but you need to stop spending so much money until you get out of debt. The best thing that anyone can do is sit down, make it a point to sit down at least once a week and get online to your accounts if you have access to them. If not, ask your bank because you can get access to your accounts online now. sit down once a week, for sometimes it doesn't take me more than 20 minutes to do it. It could be anywhere between 20 minutes or to an hour, depending on what you want to do. And just look at your accounts, understand where your money is going, every month. You have to understand where your money is going. And that's a great place to start.
That's very sound advice, because a lot of people don't even open their
No,
their
a lot
bills.
of people are afraid to open their accounts.
Yeah, they don't want to see it. They put the bill,
Yeah, I've had women actually tell me that they go months, maybe 3-4 months without ever looking at their bank accounts and looking to see how much money they have or where their money is going. And unfortunately, the women who are telling me that are the excessive spenders. I mean, they're just like always eating out or always treating a friend or always buying clothes. And they don't manage their money very well either. So.
Yeah. So once again, this is the Book Geek Unchained. I'm Frédéric Baye, and we are here with Orayna Jwayyed. She's an author, business owner, advocate. She's helping women help themselves manage their money. Her book, Starting Over, a practical guide for women after a money crisis, leads women towards financial health after they find themselves alone. When do you write? Is it easier to write in the morning or at night?
At night. I like to write at night.
Okay. And do you have a favorite author?
Not in the financial industry. No, I don't. I generally just read a lot of books.
What kind of books?
Huh?
What would you when you say you read a lot of books? What books on finance or no, or just?
They're about personal money management. They are about gender and women, especially about women in the workforce. I try to keep up with, the latest workforce trends or any laws that are being passed or considered, to help parents manage their lives better at work. So those are the things that I have been reading. But a lot of my reading these days has been focused more on women and the workforce. And you know what I do? I have a Goodreads account that's out there, and my latest book, Starting Over, is out there too. And what I do is I list all the books that I read on there, and I also review many of them too.
What is your Goodread URL?
It is www.goodreads GOODREADS.com / and then you can Orayna.
All right. Do you have a favorite motivational phrase?
Favorite motivational phrase?
Something that, a statement, an affirmation, something that, fires you up a little bit.
I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Ooh, that's powerful. I love that. All right. What advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self? I would tell her to forgive herself. I would tell her that life is a journey, that you're not supposed to have all of the answers, and it's okay if you just get sidetracked every so often. That it's okay. Just forgive yourself and keep moving, and to take life as an experience.
Awesome. What's up with the color red?
I don't know. I just I think where it stems from. I was thinking about that question just recently, because I noticed that when I go shopping, I always pick something red. And I think it was because when I was in high school one time, I went to school and I was wearing these red pants and this red top. And I started getting a lot of compliments about how the color flatters me. And then there was also like this guy that I had a crush on at the time, and he complimented me. So I think that's where it stems from.
So red is sexy, right?
Red is sexy.
Maybe that's what. Okay, cool. All right. Where can we find you, and where can we buy Starting Over? Starting Over is on
Amazon.com. And I have a website at www.businessinterludes.com. And I also have a Facebook account, Business Interludes, and I also have a Twitter account.
Awesome. Hey, Orayna, thank you so much for doing this conversation. It was fun. I learned, and I believe in your cause.
Thank you.
Women need to wake up. Anyway, so thank you very much, and good luck, really, with your business.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, guys, that's it. It's time to ride off into the sunset. Day 2. How was that? What did you learn today? How great was Orayna? Thank you so much, Orayna, for your inspiration. Thank you for your insight. And, we all learned today. We all learned. And even as a man, I learned a lot. Hey guys, that's it for today. That's day 2 of the 2016 Blast. 7 days, 7 episodes, and 7 amazing authors. After that, we're gonna go back to the regular schedule every Wednesday. All right, so hey guys, you can catch me on Facebook, Frédéric Bay, on Twitter at ByFred, YouTube channel, The Book Geek, or just type Frédéric Bay. And you know what? I can't wait to have you for day 3 of 2016 Blast. We're gonna have Jennifer Irwin, and we're gonna talk about her debut novel. And strap your seatbelts, because this is going to be a fun, inspiring ride. All right, with this, stay safe, and don't forget, live with purpose, passion, and love.